51 years old, and Irene had not bought herself a single thing in 4 months. Not a coffee, not a pair of socks, not a magazine at the checkout line that she held for 3 seconds before putting back, because it was $4.99 and she could not justify $4.99 on something just for her. 4 months of buying nothing for herself, and she still had less than $200 in her account on the 22nd of the month. Where does it go? That is the question she had been asking herself for years, and the answer was always the same: everywhere. Everywhere but her. The money went to her mother's copayments. It went to her youngest daughter's car insurance because the girl had gotten a ticket and the rate went up and someone had to cover it. It went to the church offering because she had been giving to that church for 22 years and she was not going to be the woman who stopped. It went to the electric bill, the water bill, the groceries, the minimum payment on the credit card she had been paying the minimum on for 6 years without the balance moving more than $40 in either direction. It went to everyone. There was nothing left for Irene. Here is the thing I want you to understand before I tell you this story. Irene is not unusual. Irene is not someone who made terrible decisions or married the wrong person or had some dramatic disaster. Irene is the woman in the break room who always asks how you are doing and means it. Irene is the one who brings in the birthday cake. Irene is the woman who gave away so much of herself for so long that she could no longer tell the difference between generosity and disappearance. At 51 years old, Irene had almost completely disappeared. But 7 months before her 52nd birthday, she did something, quietly, without telling anyone. And what happened at the end of those 7 months, what she had when she stood on the other side of them, I need to tell you about, because you are going to want to know. And because I think some of you are going to recognize something in this story that you have not been able to name until right now. Stay with me. Irene Caldwell was a home health aide in a small city outside of Nashville. She drove 40 minutes each way to her clients, 5 days a week, sometimes 6. She had 4 regular clients and 1 on-call client who only needed her on bad weeks. And the bad weeks came more often than they used to. She bathed people, dressed people, made meals for people, sat with people through pain they couldn't manage alone. She was good at it in the way that some people are good at things that cost them something every time. She drove a 10-year-old sedan with a bumper sticker from her daughter's high school graduation, class of 2015, which she had not removed because taking it off felt like admitting the good years were over. The left rear door didn't open from the outside anymore. She had stopped noticing. Visitors just knew to go around. She wore her hair pulled back every day, a tight bun at the base of her neck, held with the same 2 black elastic bands she twisted around twice, then 3 times because they had stretched. She had been meaning to buy a new pack of hair ties for 3 months. They were $1.29 at the dollar store. She kept forgetting, and then she kept not forgetting but deciding there were other things first. Her house was small and clean, in the way of a woman who does not have much but refuses to let that become chaos. She washed her dishes immediately after every meal. She swept the kitchen every morning before she left. There was a dignity in the neatness of the house, a kind of insistence, this is mine, and I am keeping it. In the bedroom, on the nightstand, there was a small tin box. It was a tea tin, the kind that comes with a sampler set at Christmas, a gift from a co-worker 2 years ago. The tea was long gone. The tin had a pattern of blue and white flowers on the lid. Inside the tin, a folded piece of notebook paper, and on the paper, in Iron's own handwriting, a list. The list had 12 items on it, things she wanted, not expensive things. A new winter coat, a weekend trip to see her cousin in Charlotte, a dental cleaning she had been postponing for 18 months, a new set of mixing bowls because one of hers had cracked, a reading lamp for the bedroom so she didn't have to turn on the overhead light at night. She had written the list 3 years ago and added nothing since. She took it out sometimes and read it, not with hope exactly, but with the kind of feeling you get when you look at an old photograph. like proof that you once wanted things. The tin stayed on the nightstand, lid closed, list inside, never mentioned to anyone. The thing that broke everything open happened on a Tuesday in March. Irene's mother called at 7 in the morning, before Irene had finished her coffee, and said the furnace had gone out. She lived 40 minutes in the other direction from Irene's clients, a small house in the same county where Irene had grown up, and the furnace, which had been making sounds for 2 winters, had finally stopped. The estimate was $1,850. Irene's mother had $412 in her account. She was on a fixed income. She was 69 years old, and the house had been in the family for 31 years, and it was March, and the temperature that night was supposed to drop to 28 degrees. Irene called her credit card company from the parking lot of her first client's apartment building. She had $800 available on her card. She called her sister in Memphis. Her sister sent $300. Irene's daughter scraped together $150. That left $412 short. Irene called her supervisor and asked for an advance on her paycheck. Her supervisor said the company didn't do advances. She said it nicely, with genuine sympathy in her voice, but no. Irene sat in the car for 7 minutes. Then she called a finance company, one of the ones with the easy approval and the number on the billboard on the highway, and she borrowed $500 at an interest rate she didn't read carefully enough because she was cold and scared and her mother needed heat. The total cost of the furnace, after the credit card and the $500 loan at the rate she hadn't read carefully, came out to $2,190 when she added up all the payments over the following 6 months. She drove to her first client and she helped him into the shower and she made him oatmeal and she smiled at him and she did her job, every part of it, while something inside her chest sat very still and cold, like a stone that had been in the shade too long. At evening, she went home and she opened a tin box on her nightstand. She unfolded the list. She read all 12 items: a new winter coat, a weekend in Charlotte, a dental cleaning. She folded the list back up. She put it in the tin. She closed the lid. And then she did something she had never done before. She picked up a pen and she wrote on the outside of the tin, just below the blue flowers, in letters small enough that you had to be close to read them. Not yet. She put the tin back on the nightstand. Not yet, not a no, not a never, just not yet. She did not know, on that Tuesday night in March, what that small phrase was going to become, but we will get there. 2 weeks later, Irene was at the bank. She needed to transfer the minimum payment on the credit card before midnight, and the app wasn't working, and she had driven 20 minutes to the branch because she was not going to be late on a payment and have a fee added on top of everything else. The line was long for a Wednesday afternoon. Irene stood in it with her purse strap over one shoulder and her phone in her hand, and she was tired in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. The woman ahead of her in line was perhaps 75. She wore a long skirt the color of pine needles and a white blouse button to the throat, and she moved with the deliberate slowness of someone who has decided that hurrying is no longer her responsibility. She carried a paper checkbook register, the small accordion folded kind that Irene had not seen anyone use in years, and she was writing in it with a ballpoint pen, standing right there in line, without any apparent concern for the people behind her. Irene watched her and felt something she was ashamed of immediately: irritation. Because she was tired, and she was late, and she was standing here, because the app didn't work, and this woman was doing her bookkeeping in line like they had all the time in the world. And the woman looked up and caught Irene watching her, and she did not look offended. She just said pleasantly, "I write everything down, even the small things." Irene said, "That's a good habit." The woman nodded. "My mother taught me," she said, "the small things you ignore are the small things that bury you, and the small things you tend are the small things that save you." She said it the way people say things that they have said 100 times and still believe. Irene didn't say anything. The woman wrote one more number in her register and closed it. She put the pen in her purse. She looked at Irene once more, not with the look of someone giving advice, just with the look of someone who sees you. He said, "The small things you tend are the small things that save you." Then the teller window opened and she walked up. Irene stood in line and repeated it to herself, soundlessly, the way you repeat something you are not sure you heard correctly. The small things you tend are the small things that save you. She completed her transfer. She drove home. She did not turn on the television. She sat at the kitchen table and she thought about that sentence for a long time. Then she opened a drawer and took out a pen, and she went to the bedroom and she picked up the tin box. And she opened the lid and she unfolded the list and she read it again, all 12 items. She refolded it. She put it back. She closed the lid. Then she sat on the edge of the bed and she made a decision that was so quiet it barely felt like a decision at all. This is what Irene did for 7 months, and this is what she learned from doing it. She decided that every day, before she left the house, she would do one small thing that belonged only to her. Not a big thing, not something that required money she didn't have. Just one thing, small, tended. The first thing she did was the hair ties, $1.29. She bought them on a Thursday on her way home from her second client. She sat in the car in the parking lot of the dollar store and she opened the package and she put the old stretched ones in the trash and she put the new ones in her hair and she looked at herself in the rear view mirror. That was all. That was the first day. She kept a record, not in the tin, but in a spiral notebook she already had, the one she used for client notes. On the back pages, upside down from the client notes, she started writing, not goals, not a budget, just what she tended that day. $1.29. New hair ties. Thursday. Tended. First thing she learned was this: tending something every day, even something tiny, changes the way you walk through the hours. She had been moving through her days in a posture of management, managing what came at her, reacting, absorbing. The small daily tending was the first time in years she had moved through a day with intention. Not toward something big, just toward herself, one step, every day. Second thing she learned, and this is the one that surprised her, was that the small things she tended told her something about herself she had lost track of. Second week, she tended a cup of tea she made for herself in the evening, not from a bag in the cabinet, but a kind she actually liked. A box she bought for $2.69, and she sat with it for 15 minutes with no television and no phone. And she felt, sitting there, that she had preferences, that she was a person with preferences. It sounds like nothing. It was not nothing. In the third month, something shifted in the money. Because she was writing things down, because she was paying attention in a new way. She noticed that she was spending $8.50 a week on coffees she bought at the gas station out of habit, not need. She noticed she was renewing a subscription for $9.99, a month that she had not used in 5 months. She noticed that she bought things at the grocery store in the sizes that seemed economical but actually weren't. And when she switched sizes on 3 items, she saved $11 in 1 week without buying anything differently. She was not cutting back. She was paying attention. The difference is everything. Here is the fourth thing. In month 5, she called the finance company about the $500 loan. She had been paying $42 a month, and the balance had gone from $500 to $481. She asked to speak to someone about the interest rate. She had never asked that before in her life, because she had always assumed the answer was no. The person on the phone offered her a modified payment plan that reduced the effective rate. She didn't understand all of it. She asked 3 questions. She took notes. She hung up, and the balance was still the same, but something had changed. She had asked. She had spoken on her own behalf to someone whose job it was to say no, and they had not said no. She wrote it in the back pages of the notebook. Asked, tended. The fifth thing, the one I have been holding for you since the very first sentence, the thing Irene did for 7 months without telling anyone. The thing that had nothing to do with money and everything to do with who she was becoming. Every week, Irene took one item off her list. Not by buying it, by planning for it, by calculating exactly how much it cost and dividing it into weeks and writing a date next to it. A dental cleaning, $240, insured at 80%, real cost $48. She could have that in 3 months if she set aside $16 a week. A new winter coat, not a luxury coat, a warm, reliable coat. From a consignment shop she had driven past for 2 years without going in, $70, 6 weeks at $12 a week. At the end of 7 months, Irene had gotten 3 things on the list. The dental cleaning, a new coat, dark green, wool blend from the consignment shop, $63, and the reading lamp for the bedroom, $22 at the thrift store, with a warm bulb that made the room feel like something she had chosen. She had not changed her income, she had not received a windfall. She had not won anything or been given anything. She had tended small things every day for 7 months. And on the morning of her 52nd birthday, she woke up, put on the new hair ties that she now replaced every 2 months without a second thought, turned on the reading lamp she had chosen herself, and felt, for the first time in longer than she could measure, like someone who was living her life instead of surviving it. That is what she had done quietly, without telling anyone. Not saving a fortune, saving herself. By October, the people around Irene had noticed something they couldn't quite name. A supervisor said, "You seem more rested." She wasn't sleeping more. She was wasting less energy on the constant low hum of emergency that had been running inside her for years. Her daughter called on a Sunday and said, "Mama, you sound different." Irene said, "Different how?" Her daughter thought about it. Slower, but like good slow, like you're not rushing to hang up. It wasn't. She had started letting herself sit with things instead of moving through them as fast as possible to get to the next obligation. Her mother called one evening, not with a crisis, just to talk, and Irene sat on the edge of her bed with the reading lamp on and talked to her mother for 45 minutes about nothing important. And when she hung up, she realized it was the first time in years she hadn't felt a small relief when the call ended. Credit card balance moved. Not dramatically, but it moved. $40 in 4 months became $130 in 7 months because she had stopped adding to it and had found, through attention, $11 here, $8 there, that went toward the balance instead of into the gas station. She told no one about the notebook. She told no one about the tin and the list. She told no one about the woman at the bank. Some things you keep, not out of secrecy but out of protection. Some things you keep close while they are still fragile, while they are still becoming what they are going to be. A co-worker, Patricia, who had been her closest friend at work for 6 years, noticed the coat. She said, "That's a nice coat, Irene. Is that new?" And Irene said yes. Patricia waited for more. Irene just smiled. Patricia laughed and said, "Okay, keeping secrets." And Irene thought, not a secret exactly, just mine. In November, at a community health fair, where Irene had volunteered to help with blood pressure screenings, she met a woman named Connie. Connie was 47. She sat down at Irene's table to get her blood pressure checked, and she was holding a tote bag on her lap with both hands, the way you hold something when you are keeping yourself together with the holding of it. Her blood pressure was high, not emergency high, but high enough that Irene looked at her for a moment before she wrote the number down. Irene said, "When did you last eat today?" Connie said, "I had coffee this morning." It was 3:30 in the afternoon. Irene got her a cup of water and a small package of crackers from the volunteer table, and she sat back down across from her, and she didn't say anything for a moment, just let the woman drink the water. Then Connie said, without looking up, I'm just so tired. I've been tired for so long I can't remember what not tired feels like. Irene recognized that sentence. She had said it to herself, in those exact words, in the car in the parking lot of her first client's building, on the day she drove to the bank to make a payment because the app didn't work. She said, "I know." Connie looked at her. Irene reached into her bag. She took out the spiral notebook, the one with the client notes on one side and the back pages upside down where she wrote her tending. She tore out one of the back pages carefully, a page that just had a few lines on it. She took out her pen. She wrote, "The small things you tend are the small things that save you." She handed it to Connie. Connie read it. She looked up. Irene said, "Not big things. Not fixing everything at once. One small thing today just for you. That's all. Tomorrow one more. You just tend them. The small things you tend are the small things that save you." Connie looked at the paper for a long time. Irene said, "I'll tell you mine if you want to hear it. I bought hair ties. That was the first one. $1.29. And I sat with myself long enough to put them in." Connie laughed, the startled kind of laugh that comes when something true hits you in an unexpected place. Irene reached into her bag again, and she brought out the tin box, the one with the blue and white flowers. She had brought it because she was looking at the list again lately, the 12 items, adding things, changing things, the list itself becoming alive now, where it had been a kind of memorial before. She did not open it. She just held it for a moment in both hands, and then she put it back in her bag. "I have a list in here," she said, "of things I want. Nothing expensive, just things that are mine. I wrote it years ago, and for a long time it just sat there. Now I'm working through it, slowly, one small tending at a time." Connie was still holding the piece of paper. Irene said, "You make your list, and you start with the smallest thing on it, not the one that will fix everything, the one that cost $1.29. He went back to the blood pressure table. More people were waiting. Before she sat down, she looked back once, and Connie was still sitting there, holding the piece of paper, and she had taken a pen out of her own bag. She was beginning her list. "I want you to sit with Irene for just a moment before you go. Not the coat, not the dental cleaning, not even the 7 months. I want you to think about that Tuesday night in March when she sat on the edge of her bed and picked up the tin box and opened the list she had written 3 years before and read all 12 things she had once wanted for herself, things so small they barely counted as dreams, and then she wrote on the outside of the tin, 'Not yet.' Not never, not this is impossible, not I can't. Not yet. 2 words that kept the door open just enough. I want to ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself when you answer, because this is just between you and you right now. What is on your list? What are the things you wrote down, or never wrote down but carry in your chest? The small things you stopped reaching for because everything else came first. What is the thing that costs $1.29 that you have been walking past for months without stopping? Come down to the comments right now and write day 1. Then tell me one thing you are going to do today just for you. Not for your children, not for your mother, not for anyone who needs something from you. For you, something small is not just acceptable. Something small is exactly right. I want to read every single one. And if this reached you today, if something in Irene's story put its hand on your shoulder, please share this with a woman who needs to hear it. A sister, a coworker, a friend you have been worried about. You do not need to explain, just send it. She will know why you did. You found this video, you stayed until the end. That is already a small tending. I will see you here next time.